Asheville, North Carolina is a gorgeous destination to go to, and we found Wilson's
Riverfront.
Wilson's Riverfront RV Park. Leia's doing a spin.
I'm TK.
And I'm Earl.
Let's check it out.
And if you'd like to know what other parks are like before you head out there, be sure to subscribe to our channel and you'll get all that information ahead of time.
Wilson's Park was very unique.
Yeah.
It was basically 2 strips of RV parking spaces on either side of a path. A public path.
Yeah.
Just went straight down the middle and it continued. So there's a main path along, what was the name of the river?
French Broad River.
That went out to the left from where we were facing the river. And then to the right, it continued even a little further. So you had people, pedestrians and bicyclists coming through the park really at most times of day, not like at night.
Yeah, from sun up to sundown, there are usually people walking or biking along the path. So that was kind of interesting. And it really was right on the riverfront. I mean,
right on.
Parking there was kind of like living in a van down by the river.
There are people who tented there too. There's a tent option. If you look at the reviews, some people talk about their experience tenting there as well. Getting
into the park is a little bit of a challenge. So basically you have to drive past the RV park down to a gas station and then turn around and drive into the park, because if you're coming off the highway, it's a U-turn.
It's a very acute angle.
Yeah. Yeah, to be very mathematical about it. Geometry. So it's very tough to make that turn, especially if you have a big rig like we do, a fifth wheel. So it's definitely recommended to drive down to that gas station and turn around and pull in.
And they told us that.
Yeah, they tell you that beforehand. They send you an email and they give you like good directions to get in there.
They had some very basic amenities. We did have full hookups, but I believe we had a little bit of an electrical issue at our spot, so we ended up switching to our 20 amp, which worked fine because the weather was September, weather was fine.
It's really nice.
And there was a bathroom on site. We never needed to use it, but it was there, and I think if you were using a tent, you could use it as well. There was no front office, so there was actually, I think,
the camp host or manager was right there on site in their own RV. So that's kind of like the office, but not exactly. But they were right there for you.
And there was a sign that told you that they were there.
With them being right along the river, they did have some issue with flooding, I believe maybe a week or 2 before we got there. Yeah, and you could see kind of like where some of the water had been and like washed up some of the dirt and stuff onto the shore. So be sure to check ahead of time before you go there to make sure that it isn't flooded. So the park was pretty basic with what it had, but it was a good leaping off spot to get into Asheville. So it was really good location to get into downtown and see everything that Asheville has to offer.
We did enjoy walking the path, the walkway that came through the park. We did go both ways. There was something interesting along the way.
Yeah, so there's a racetrack, like an old racetrack where, the legends used to race. You had like Tom Petty and all the guys from way back in the day, and I was mentioning there's a plaque and stuff there, and I was telling my family about it because they're like really big into racing, and they thought it was really neat, and it's like, oh yeah, we know all about those people. So I believe they turned it into like a velodrome for like cycling and maybe for they say like roller derby or something too, maybe, I'm not sure, but definitely like riding bikes and stuff around it. So that was pretty neat to see and walk past.
We do try to get exercise frequently and get some hikes in, so it was nice to have that option to just walk out your door and you're already on a path.
Yeah.
You could actually do excursions on the river. You could go tubing. I think we saw people maybe either kayaking or canoeing.
Yeah.
And there were some places nearby that looked like maybe they were renting out that equipment, but we just weren't sure. We couldn't tell what was still open and what wasn't open, but we did see people on the river. Speaking of hiking, we're really fortunate to have a good friend who lives in the Asheville area who took us around to see some of the great nature spots, and one of those was Triple Falls.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love waterfalls.
Yes.
I always like to get as close as I can.
I was looking up falls to try to figure out which falls we had gone to, and there are a lot of falls in North Carolina. So we will definitely be back to check out more of those. But this was her recommended one. I think we saw all 3 falls.
Yeah.
It was a nice, easy hike down and back up, and a lot of great photo shoot spots.
Yeah, it's gorgeous there. After our hike, we went to Oscar Blues Brewery and had a few beers, and they had a food truck there, which we ordered some food from, and it was a really good time. They had some good music playing, and it was a really cool brewery.
Another recommendation by our local guide that was much appreciated.
We also took a hike to Mount Pisgah, which was another recommendation from our friend, and it was really great. It was a little cloudy when we went, but it was beautiful up there when it finally cleared up.
Very nice lookout.
Yep, so we definitely recommend you go check that out. And finally, we had a blast at Asheville Retrocade, which was a really cool arcade where you pay one time and you get to go in and play as much of the arcade games as you want. They had Turtles in Time. We completely played through Turtles in Time.
You can't die.
Yeah, you just keep hitting the start button and you just keep playing and
keep going.
you keep resetting. So that was a lot of fun, and yeah, there are just tons and tons of games down there. It was really cool.
I played that as a kid at Home Run and Pizza.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was definitely a flashback for us.
I think they had food and drinks there too.
Yeah, they did have food and drinks there too, but we decided to go outside to Asheville Sandwich Company because that looked irresistible. Those sandwiches and milkshakes. So yeah, they had some really good food. I had a Philly cheesesteak and an horchata milkshake, and oh, so good.
I can't remember what I got, but I remember I also enjoyed it. Probably a burger. I'm a big burger gal, and I think I got a shake too.
One thing that we didn't get to do was go to Biltmore Estates, which is like a really popular tourist destination in Asheville and actually right across the river from the RV park. So we'll be back to go do that sometime, I'm sure. But is there anything that you feel we missed? If so, please let us know in the comments, and next time we're back around there, we'll be stopping by there hopefully.
We really enjoyed Asheville and felt like we barely scratched the surface, and we definitely want to visit with our friends again. We probably won't be back to Wilson's RV park, even though the rate was decent and the amenities were fine. It was a little weird having it so public. We're used to having an RV park that's on private land and has a little bit of privacy, and that was a little bit much for me, even though I did enjoy the walkway. So we'll be looking for other parks in the area to check out and share with you.
So if you enjoyed our review of Wilson's River... I still can't say it. I try saying it so fast. If I say that, I gotta slow it down. So if you enjoyed our review of Wilson's Riverfront RV Park, be sure to subscribe to our channel and you'll get to see all of our reviews of the places where we stayed, so you can be alerted ahead of time of what the parks are like before you go. Thank you very much for your nods and his one. Thank you all very much for watching and have a great day. Yeah, I don't know. Wilson's River. I can't even say it. She's TK.
I'm Earl.
Stop. Stop.